The membership site business model is probably one of the most popular out there. And you guys probably know I'm a massive fan. I mean, my entire business is basically a membership site. Now, but a lot of people are out there looking for membership site plugins, and I want to tell you about an option that you may not have thought about. And it's actually, in my opinion, the best membership site plugin out there, but you may not even be aware of it because it doesn't really call itself a membership site plugin. Let me tell you about that coming up here. David Risley here with blogmarketingacademy.com, where we talk about building a fully functioning online business on top of WordPress and basically making WordPress do what it is that you want it to do. Today we're talking about membership sites, okay? Now, I'm a massive fan of membership sites, and a lot of other people are too, and if you want to create a membership site, usually what do? You go to Google and you think, okay, I need to have a membership site platform, and you go searching for membership site plugins, and then you're going to come up with those plugins that are specifically targeting membership sites because that is their purpose built for that. And so what do we have out there? We have things like Member Mouse and Member Press and Wishlist Member and S2 Member and a member if you don't want to really go the WordPress route. There's a lot of options out there, and they're called membership site plugins, so therefore they immediately come up and people start going that route. Now, if we look at what do these membership site plugins do, well, they will have some form of account management built into it, okay? It will have some kind of connection to payment processors, so you can take their subscription money. And then they control access, so that when people log in, they either get access to certain things on your site or they don't get access to certain things on your site. That's primarily the basic functionality of a membership site plugin, right? But that's not what I'm using. I am not using technically a membership site plugin. I want to tell you about what I am using and why I think the option that I am using blows all the other ones away, but a lot of people don't really know about it. The solution I'm talking about is called WP Fusion. Now, I've talked about WP Fusion many times at the Blog Marketing Academy, but really what I want to communicate here in this video and on this post is how it really is a colossally powerful membership site plugin, even though when you come to the site, that's not really clear. And in fact, what I have found is that some people, they may be aware of WP Fusion, but they still don't quite understand what it does. And I'll admit that I was one of those people before I really started using it. Like, I was aware of WP Fusion. I think I even had a couple of clients mention, oh, I was kind of checking out WP Fusion. And I looked at it, and it just didn't immediately connect to me what it was doing, okay? But once I got it, oh my Lord, this is like the most powerful and this is my favorite WordPress plugin. It does everything. As it says, connect WordPress to anything, okay? Essentially, this is a plugin that does a fusion, that's why it's called that, between your CRM, which is your email list setup essentially, and your WordPress site. And so you can control almost everything that takes place on your website from your CRM. And now by CRM, we're referring to things like Drip, ActiveCampaign, ConvertKit, all those types of things. Places where you would typically put your email list. And also, being that I'm now a really big fan of Fluent CRM, WP Fusion works with it gorgeously. So it's a very different way of doing things than a membership site plugin. That's what I wanted to cover here. But you can see as it goes down that WP Fusion will connect your site in with anything. The idea of integration becomes a moot point when you're using something like WP Fusion, because this thing does pretty much the best job I've ever seen of making everything work together. Okay, but underneath all this is a membership site plugin. It's just it will perform a lot of those functionalities, but sometimes it needs to be coupled with some other stuff. And I kind of wanted to explain this because it's not immediately clear to a lot of people what a powerful membership site solution this really is, because if you come across WP Fusion, it's just not marketed as a membership site option. If you really get down to the core of what a membership site is, you've got some type of a member database, a user database, okay? And each user has a login, okay? And then you need to have a series of permissions on what they're allowed to access and what they don't. That at the basic level is what your membership site is. Now, most membership site plugins, the ones that are dedicated to that, what they do is they sit on top of WordPress. They work with the built-in user database is built right into WordPress itself, but it kind of adds a layer to it, and that layer will see the incoming payments. It will then change their member level permissions and things like that. But what it's kind of doing is adding a layer over top of the basic WordPress user system that's already there. Now let's switch over to what WP Fusion does. If we look at it from the perspective of a user database, we know that WordPress already has one. It has a user database, okay? The other thing is that you, as an online business owner, are going to have your email list someplace, okay? And the most popular CRMs out there are probably going to be ConvertKit. I use Drip right now. I'm going to be switching over to Fluent CRM, which is in-house on top of WordPress. ActiveCampaign is a really popular one. There's a lot of options out there on where to put your email list, okay? But that email list is also a user database, okay? And so what do we have there when we marry that CRM user database with the WordPress user database? We have essentially everything you need right there to say, okay, well, it's that person, and then we can grant them access to certain things or not. And the way that WP Fusion works is that using tags on their profile, you can basically grant them access to anything that you want and control everything they see on your website merely by adding or removing tags from their profile. So those tags would be inside of wherever you keep your email list, ActiveCampaign, Drip, Fluent CRM, a number of options out there that WP Fusion works with. So let's say you add a member tag to a person who just purchased something from you. Well, immediately WP Fusion says, okay, well, they have access to everything that you've said that member should have access to. And so WP Fusion does all the access controls. So there's your membership site functionality right there. The really cool thing is that all the power of a marketing automation platform, everything that you could do with a marketing automation platform, you can now completely control what they have access to and what they see on your site. Okay, so if you've ever worked with a marketing automation platform, you can do conditionals, and it's like very graphical. You can control what happens on your site just the same way because it's all built in. Okay, so for example, if you wanted to have drip content, a lot of membership site plugins, they have a built-in drip content functionality to put things out over time. With WP Fusion, you do the exact same thing. It's just you do it through your marketing automation platform. So you just, have a little sequence, and then on a schedule, and it's all very graphical. You just add different tags to their profile, and you're opening up everything on a schedule. It's the exact same thing. Now, it's obviously doing a lot more than just tags and your user system. Essentially, it's a full stack integration with everything that you can do on WordPress and your CRM. And so WP Fusion also has integrations with most of the other WordPress plugins that you may want to use for a membership site, like several different online course systems, like LearnDash is what I use. It works with BuddyBoss. It works with a number of different shopping cart systems like WooCommerce and Easy Digital Downloads. And even if you want to use an external option like ThriveCart, WP Fusion will work with that too. So all your forms plugins, if you want to use a funnel builder on top of WooCommerce like CartFlows, WP Fusion integrates with that. And so essentially almost any tool, like even an automation plugin like Uncanny Automator or Automator WP that you might want to stick into the stack in order to do various things, they work with WP Fusion. So essentially almost anything, any action that you would want somebody to be able to do on your site, you can control that through WP Fusion. But you can control what tags are added or removed, and therefore you can trigger any automation that you want from your CRM and control their permissions. And so I hope what happens here is you can see that this is a much higher degree of flexibility and customization that you can do with WP Fusion over what a typical membership site plugin will do. And it can be a little confusing because when you look at WP Fusion's website, you can see that it integrates with membership site plugins like MemberPress. The thing is, you don't really need it. You don't need MemberPress. You can totally do it without MemberPress. It's good that WP Fusion will work with it, but you really don't need those things because you can do content protections and the whole thing directly with WP Fusion. I want to show you a little bit of the back end here. So I'm in behind the scenes on Blog Marketing Academy, and I'm in the WP Fusion settings here. And so you can see, first of all, when you go to setup, you're going to choose what CRM that you want to integrate with. As you can see right now, I've got mine set up with Drip, okay? And then you plug in your, the various information that you need for API keys and stuff, and you basically connect your site with your CRM. And then from there, you go and you set up all the other options that you want to make your site work super, super closely with your CRM. So if we pop over to general settings again, you can see it's all about synchronization. We could trigger the synchronizations at certain points. This is for content restrictions. I'll show you how this works in a little bit. You can set some default redirects or messages. So if they try to access something they're not supposed to have access to, you can override these things, but these are just some global options I have if I don't set one. You could do site lockout. So basically if you put a particular tag on their profile, they literally will not be able to access your site whatsoever. The contact fields option, this is one big global screen where it takes all of the fields that you've got in your CRM as well as the fields that you have in WordPress, and it allows you to match them together. And so it doesn't matter if these are built-in fields of WordPress or if they're being inserted by another one of your plugins. Like here's a bunch from WooCommerce. WooCommerce subscriptions. You could also do custom fields. Like I've got some with custom fields. Here's LearnDash data. These are all other systems that I'm using on my setup. I can sync all of them to particular fields, custom fields inside of my CRM. And so everything will just automatically stay intact between them. Okay. You have a lot of options. And so where this kind of thing may come in is, for example, this is my account balance for service credits that people have here on the Blog Marketing Academy. Well, I have it synced to a custom field over in the CRM. So obviously, if that balance changes, I can trigger an email and say, hey, you have a new balance. If their balance just hits 0, I can send them an email that says, hey, you just ran out of credits. Maybe you want to purchase some more. You get the idea. You can couple all this stuff with your CRM to where no matter what happens on your website, you can totally trigger any automation that you want. Okay. If we go to integrations, I've got WooCommerce here. So you got various options here with regard to how you want to work with WooCommerce, WooCommerce email opt-in, automatic tagging. So depending on what they purchase, every WooCommerce product, by the way, is going to have its own tag setting. So when they buy a particular product, you can add particular tags automatically to their profile and it will just sync up. It's really nice how this works. Now, enhanced e-commerce, this is actually an add-on. So if you have their this particular add-on, then everything that they purchase on my site uses the e-commerce API with Drip and sends all that purchase data into Drip so that I can trigger any type of automation that I want over there. Okay. Now, the logins option, this is a super cool add-on for WP Fusion, where you can actually have it trigger things based on the tags on their profile. Another thing that you can do is set up redirect rules and various things. So as an example, I can add a particular tag to their profile in one of the automations, and then next time that member logs in, it will take them to a particular landing page, whereas nobody else will see it, but just them. Like I can set up custom redirects just based on those logins. So think about how you can then have a marketing campaign going on and make your membership site literally be working in tandem with whatever is going on in your marketing automation. It's a really, really powerful setup. Then you got some other options like advanced, for ThriveCart people, you got auto login capability for that. There are a lot of different options here. I'm not even going to try to cover them all. Now, the other thing I want to show you is how content protections work. If we pop over to, in my case, LearnDash, and you'd see my list of courses here, but you see these little locks? That's because these are being protected by WP Fusion. And so the way that it works, let me go, this is just one of the small courses. Let's go to the edit screen for this. And over here on the side, you're going to have WP Fusion settings. And then you just check this little box and it says users must be logged in. And then you can define what tag do they need to have on their profile to be able to access this content. And so I've got one of my tags set up there, and you could do this on Logic. You can have any tag. You could have define more than one tag that they need to have in order to access that content. You can say that everybody that does not have a particular set of tags could access that content. And then, of course, you can set up your redirect messages. So if they try to access it and they don't have access to it, you can control what they say. You can even have options in here, like if they view it, you can apply a tag. So think about this. Here's the option of your member is logged in and they go to a particular landing page that might be trying to sell them on some type of an upsell offer that you have. You could set up WP Fusion that says, well, if that member hits that tag them a particular way because you know that, hey, they just had some kind of a casual interest in your upsell. So you could trigger a whole follow-up automation in your CRM based on just that, just tagging if they view it. Okay, you can also tag it when they complete things and stuff like that in the case of LearnDash. There's a lot of options like that throughout WordPress when you're using WP Fusion. So you can essentially, like any action you want, really, you could trigger automations in your CRM. Now, there are a lot of options that I'm simply not showing you or I'm glossing over, and that's because WP Fusion just has so much capability. The amount of hooks that it has in with so many different WordPress plugins is impressive. I mean, it just, depending on what options that you're using to power your site, sometimes you will find that there was some little hook that WP Fusion's got an option in there for it and you never even saw it. For example, with WooCommerce, based on them having a tag, you could auto apply discounts every time they purchase something. I mean, there's so much capability. You got your forms plugins like Gravity Forms or Fluent Forms, and every time they fill out those options, you can apply or remove certain tags. Even based on certain form inputs that they put in there, you can apply different tags and then, of course, trigger any other thing that you want. And so there are so many options, it's a little hard to wrap your head around the amount of power and flexibility that you're going to have using something like WP Fusion. Now let's talk about the trade-offs, because we got to be real about this. If WP Fusion just automatically was the de facto option for membership sites, then a lot of the membership site plugins out there wouldn't exist, right? And it's more than just marketing. I mean, one of the things here is that I think WP Fusion, it does so much that you can't really call it a membership site plugin, even though it operates as one. It just does so much more than that. The thing is, why might you want to still use a membership site plugin? Well, the thing about a membership site plugin is that it's purpose-built to that thing. And it tends to be a little bit more of an all-in-one type of solution, okay? And so sometimes people just want that level of simplicity. It's a little bit just more obvious sometimes what to do things. Now, as you can see, with WP Fusion, you've got so much flexibility that for some people that can be a little bit mind-numbing, I'll be honest with you. For example, with WP Fusion, it obviously does not contain a shopping cart. Most membership site plugins, they have some built-in integrations with Stripe and PayPal and all that, and it collects your orders and does all that. WP Fusion does not, but will work with a number of options out there that will. In my case, I use WooCommerce, and I like it. I think WooCommerce integrates with WP Fusion probably better than any other shopping cart out there. If you wanted to use easy digital downloads, you can go ahead and use that. It'll work with a lot of different options. You could process those orders. But the thing is, it's not like it's just built in, okay? So it's one of the things to keep in mind. But when it comes to online courses, you can use a number of different learning management systems. So you get to have your pick of the litter in a lot of cases and still control everything with LearnDash. So I guess the big thing with WP Fusion is that you will need to utilize some other plugins, for example, to process orders. You'll be managing things through your CRM database or inside of WordPress. But it's not that all-in-one membership site solution. It's kind of like you're going to need a few other pieces there. But I will say that the reason why you might want to still consider this is because the amount of power and flexibility and marketing automation, which therefore enables all kinds of different marketing strategies that you have when you're using something like WP Fusion, just blows all the other membership site plugins away. It really does. And so, why use something like MemberPress when you don't need it? You could use WooCommerce, use WP Fusion, accomplish pretty much the same stuff. Whereas a lot of membership site plugins they literally have an integration with your email list, but it can be as simple as just adding them to buyers list. It's not really the same as if you're using your CRM literally to control every little aspect of what happens on your site. It's a different beast, but a different way to go and super, super powerful. Okay, so as you can see, in my personal opinion, I think the most powerful membership site plugin out there is not even a membership site plugin. It's WP Fusion. It happens to do most of what you need a membership site plugin to do, but a lot of people will not even notice it because it will not come up in search typically as a membership site plugin because technically it's not, okay? But it does so much more than that. I have used a number of them in the past. I have played around with MemberPress. I have used Wishlist Member. I have used MemberMouse for a long time, which was considered, I don't think it is anymore, one of the more powerful membership site solutions for WordPress. WP Fusion blows them all away. I can't imagine using another option. And it's because even though there's a little bit more legwork involved to create the full membership site package with WP Fusion, I think the overall result of what you get is going to be the most streamlined, automated, and powerful membership site solution that you can probably come up with using WordPress. And I think it will easily blow all the other ones away with what you can do with it. Now, it doesn't mean you've got to build in all the bells and whistles. That's the thing. You can keep it pretty simple if you'd like as well and still use WP Fusion. But the tools will be there that if you want to really put on your marketing ninja hat and really get in there and get super fancy pants, it'll do it with you. It'll work, okay? Because you can do almost anything with it that you might want to do with a membership site. All right, if you have any questions about WP Fusion, feel free to ask. I know it's one of those plugins out there that can be a little hard to wrap your head around exactly what it's doing there at the beginning, but I'll be happy to answer your questions either here in the Blog Marketing Academy forum, on the comments below, or just shoot me an email. I'll get back to you that way as well. Okay? Talk to you later.